Hello and welcome everybody to Civil 360. My name is Veer Pratap Singh. So my dear friends, in today's session we are going to discuss on something that was really very much important that happened during the time period of World War I, as well as it had been there in the Indian subcontinent, that had created a lot of tensions for the Britishers in India. And because of that, the Britishers had to bring a lot of new policies in order to contain the events that was happening in India. Okay, and the UPSC in the previous year questions has for multiple times in the prelims as well as in the mains examinations, they have asked questions to you on this particular dimension. Now, the topic for today, it is going to be the phase of revolutionary extremism. My dear friends, just keep this in mind. This topic is a very much important topic for the prelims as well as the mains examination. So when we are talking on the prelims, what do you understand is that the UPSC in the prelims examination, it is going to be asking various questions pertaining to the various revolutionaries. Okay, that is personalities. Why? Because the UPSC in its syllabus has mentioned to you in the main syllabus that what are the significant events, personalities, and issues. Okay, so whatever will be the syllabus for the mains examination, automatically even that is going to be the syllabus for your prelims examination, because they aren't going to just utilize the mains examination syllabus for specifically the mains examination. No, that doesn't happen generally. So it is also going to be used in the prelims examination, so you need to keep that in mind. So if the UPSC has mentioned something in the mains examination syllabus, so automatically it also becomes your syllabus for the prelims, and the UPSC will definitely ask questions. For example, the UPSC has asked questions pertaining to the various significant personalities when we talk in the prelims who were associated with the revolutionary activities. All right, so Chandrashekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh, Ram Prasad Bismil, the various associations that were doing the revolutionary activity, the UPSC has asked on them. So here the UPSC generally asked on the facts and the data that was associated with the revolutionary extremism. Now, what are the facts and data? The facts and data, it can be the organizations, their journals, okay, then their activities, then who were the personalities associated with which organizations, what were the events that had happened, arrange the events in a chronological manner. So this chronology aspect is one of the most important dimension in which the UPSC generally asks questions in the prelims examinations. Okay, so here it might be that the UPSC might give you 4 events and they might tell you to arrange it in chronology. 4 events that are associated with the revolutionary aspect. So that is what the UPSC generally does. So you need to keep that in mind. Whenever you are reading any particular topic, if you want to clear the examinations, prepare your mindset in the manner the UPSC wants you to have. Because if you do not have that mindset, my dear friends, trust me, you are in the wrong lane. So if you want to be selected, you need to prepare a mindset. And that mindset is only going to come when you do the PYQ analysis, a thorough PYQ analysis. And that PYQ analysis, it ain't going to be like the normal PYQ analysis wherein people would be just saying that you've gone through the previous year questions, you've solved it, and that is done. No, that's not done. The UPSC is recruiting IAS, IPS, IFS officers who have their own rational way of thinking. So if you ain't gonna develop that mindset, that higher class mindset, because the UPSC wants administrators who can, be at the topmost branch of the country. They ain't recruiting peons, clerks, or class 4 officers. Even that is a good job. I'm not degrading, and I'm not degrading that or demeaning that. What I'm trying to tell is that the UPSC, it wants professionals at this level of thinking, not at this level of thinking. So you need to think here. That is when you'll clear the examination. And in order to think here, you need to have the PYQ analysis in order to understand the mindset. Now, there is also the art of solving the PYQs. Okay, that art, you need to learn that art. However, that is not the subject of domain today that we shall be discussing in this session. But that is what I want to tell you. Then when we talk about the mains examination, the UPSC has also asked multiple questions in multiple of the UPSC conducted mains examinations. For example, the UPSC has asked that the revolutionary people had contributed in the Indian freedom struggle. Okay, analyze their contribution. Moreover, they asked about significant personalities. Moreover, they asked about the important organizations and their contribution. Then they asked you a perspective based question. A perspective based question, that means what? If the revolutionary people were not there in the Indian struggle, would India have gotten independence at that particular time? So here generally it is not going to be in the perspective wherein you are reading the content and you are just memorizing it. No, you also have to think, because if the UPSC asks you questions in the mains examination on the basis of perspective, that if they hadn't been there, what would have been the outcome? Because history is all about perspectives. So if you want to clear the examination, you'll have to build a perspective here in order to solve the mains answers in around 7 minutes, because you don't have much time than that. This is the average time period that is required to write an answer. So a two-pager answer, when you have to write it in 6.5, 7 minutes, just imagine the level of developed mindset you will require at that point of time. So here, my dear friends, that is something that I want to mention it to you, that you will have to develop at that, in order to clear the examination. So on that significant aspect, let us just start this particular topic, and that is going to be the phase of revolutionary extremism. Now, whenever we talk about revolutionary extremism, have we learned on this topic? Yes. In the previous sessions, we had learned on the moderates, we had learned on the extremists, we had also seen the revolutionary people. The revolutionary people, they were non-constitutional in nature, and they are going to adopt to violent activities. In the previous sessions, when we looked into the Surat Split, therein we had understood that by the time period of 1909, when the extremist leaders, they were arrested and they were put in jail, after that there is going to be some of the people who are going to adopt the revolutionary activities to fulfill their aims and objectives, and those particular people, they became revolutionaries. Okay, those people, they became revolutionaries. Now the question is that, did the aspect of revolutionaries start in the period of 1909? Did it start at that point of time? Because when we are talking about the revolutionary extremism, okay, so here the time period for revolutionary extremism, it is going to be 1899 to 1947. So when I had explained to you, when the movement had become leaderless, when some people had adopted the violent ways to fulfill their objectives, they were known as revolutionaries. And these revolutionaries, okay, they started during the 1909. However, we cannot say that prior to 1909 there was no revolutionaries. There was also revolutionary. Why? Because when we talk prior to this, during the 1850s, okay, when there was the revolt of 1857, after the revolt of 1857, we see that there were in the political domain, there were two categories of people. One was the moderate and another was the extremist. We had seen that whenever we talk about extremist and moderate, we had taken the time from 1885 till 1905 and from 1905 onwards. But what did I told you? That this particular time period, it was associated with INC. And this does not indicate that prior to 1885 there was no moderate and extremist. Yes, there were moderate and extremist, but we are mentioning this timeline only with the association of nationalism that is going to be there with the INC. Okay, so extremist and moderate, they were even during the time period of the particular 1850s, 1860s. So if there were extremist and moderate at that point of time in the political level, also obviously there are going to be certain people who were revolutionaries, who did not believe in the aims and objectives of the moderates and extremists, who did not believe in the methodology of the moderates and extremists. It was the revolutionaries who believed in the violent mechanism. So even they were prevalent during 1850s. However, they were not that prominent. They were not that widespread. They did not have that much of following base. But what happened is that from the 1909 time period, it was an elaborate movement. Many people voluntarily joined the revolutionary space. So after the 1909 till the time period of India's independence in the year of 1947, the revolutionaries had a very important role play in the Indian freedom struggle. So the revolutionaries, they are going to also be contributing during the world wars. During the world wars, we shall also be looking into that. Okay, in this particular session we shall be looking into that. So this is when we talk on the historicity of the revolutionary angle that was prevalent in the Indian subcontinent. Now see, here I would like to mention certain terms. One is that we mention is the revolutionary extremism, and second is that there can be the understanding of revolutionary terrorism. Revolutionary extremism, and second is revolutionary terrorism. So what do we understand in according to these both terms? So here in these both terms, what we are understanding is that there is going to be one idea. Whenever we talk about the revolutionary people, we are talking about Chandrashekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh, Ram Prasad Bismil, Ashfaqullah Khan, Surendra Lahiri. Okay, then there is the Sukhdev, Rajguru, Lala Hardayal. So all of these people were who? They are going to be the revolutionary people who adopted violence as a means of mechanism to uphold their aims and objectives. Now, these revolutionaries like Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Rajguru, Chandrashekhar Azad, these revolutionaries, they were kind of in a positive light for the Indians because those people fought against the Britishers for us. So they were in the positive light at that point of time. But when we talk from the British perspective, for the British, the revolutionaries, they were terrorists. So when we talk from the Indian perspective, these revolutionaries, they could be brought under the domain of revolutionary extremism, who fought for the India. Now, whenever I'm talking India, I'm not talking about the country India, but they fought for the people who resided in the Indian subcontinent. But for the Britishers, these people were who? These people, they are going to be the terrorists. So from the British lens, it is going to be known as revolutionary terrorism, but from the Indian lens, it is going to be known as revolutionary extremism. So that is how things are going to be there when we talk on this particular concept of revolutionary